fans, and welcome back to the Racing for Children's IndyCar series here at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Fun, competitive racing for a great cause. The Racing for Children's IndyCar series is not just an iRacing league. We're also out here racing to help to raise awareness and funding to cure childhood cancer, as well as blood disorders. As always, I'm your host, James East, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Read the action 1080p, 60 frames a second. As right now, qualifying coming to an end here at the Martial Arts Grand Prix of Indianapolis. And it looks like it's going to be Paul Gibson, the doctor in the 31 machine, on the top spot in qualifying. Qualifying still coming to an end here, so it's going to be interesting to see if we get any changes. And as always, thank you to our fans, friends, and family from across the world tuning in, supporting the broadcast, the league, charity, as well as the drivers out on track. These shows would be a whole lot less fun without you. And I know I appreciate it, as well as the drivers out on track. As always, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on, as drivers will frequently have the show pulled up on a separate device. If not, they just about always go back and watch it over following the show. Looks like everybody is off track. And we're going to get things started here at Indianapolis. Looking like it's going to be about an hour 20-minute race here this evening, depending if we do see the safety car have to come out. Now, race control will be served by Joseph Penn up in his own booth tonight, helping make sure drivers stay pointing in the right direction, don't do anything too out of sorts, cause any problems, have too many incidents. So hopefully he has a nice slow evening, and all the action will be up in my booth here broadcasting. Let's get ready to rumble. Drivers starting to make their way out onto the grid. And speaking of grid, let's run through it. Paul Gibson starting on pole. Finley Fitzsimmons starting second. Colin Weatherholt starting third. Nickel Kopkar starts fourth. Matt Brewer starting fifth. David Shutt starting sixth. Andrew Neri starts seventh. Matthew Gosch starting eighth. Gary Ziegler starts ninth. Casey Carrington starting 10th. Peter Rettinger starts 11th. Nick Terrell starting 12th. Cycling it back to Chris Shieldsmith starts 13th. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian, starting 14th. John Kasai starts 15th. Marshall Newton starting 16th. Alex Penn starting 17th. Brian Ziegler starting 18th. And Norman King will round out the 19-car grid here tonight at Indianapolis. And again, thank you to all our viewers popping in on both the Twitch and YouTube side of the broadcast. We've got Robert Hill Jr. joining us on YouTube. Kanto Soldier cheering on Andrew Neri, also on the YouTube side of things. As we're waiting for a few more drivers making their way out onto the grid, looks like we're just waiting on Nick Terrell's 81 machine. And interesting, the top 5 drivers all starting on the soft red compound, the alternate compound. David Shutt starting 6th, number 24 machine. He's going to be rolling out in the primaries. It looks like Terrell's made his way onto the grid. We're going to get tucked in behind our iRacing safety car. I should change my name. He's rooting on the safety car on the Twitch side of the show tonight. And we're going to start rolling here. 62 laps at Indianapolis, a busy field. 19 drivers making their way out. Now we need to look as well. I believe Andrew Neri, a first-time entry here this evening. Not sure. He may be streaming his point of view tonight, so we'll have to check that out later on the broadcast. one of the Team Goon Squad sponsored drivers making his way out for the first time. But that's Fitzsimmons getting a little bit antsy, ready to start. He's going to be side by side with Gibson for this first start of the night. Hopefully the only start of the race. Fingers crossed we won't have a full course caution having to be used tonight. Now, if I believe it's more than 3 drivers involved in an incident, or if the racing surface is blocked, is when we will see a very rare full course caution. As we get ready for that safety car to come in, a long lap under eye-pacing conditions here at Indy. And you see the bright red sidewalls on these racing slicks, signifying they are on the alternative compound, the softer compound rubber. Everybody inside the top 5 running softs. David Shutt, who will be starting 6th. He's on the fastest driver with hard compound underneath him. Pace car is in. We wait for the lights, and Barney, our flagman, and green flag is out here at the Martial Arts Grand Prix of Indianapolis. It's going to be a drag race as Gibson, Weatherholt, Fitzsimmons, Cop Car all inside the top 5 using the first push to pass very early on. Gibson pulls away, but there's calamity at the back. Oh, there's parts everywhere. It looks like Gareth McAllister, Marshall Newton, Alex Penn, Brian Ziegler, and we're going to have a caution come out very early on here. And already the full course caution coming into play. And let's take a look. Our first replay of the night. We're focusing on Marshall Newton's 76 machine. Oh! Newton comes across. No, that's not Newton. That's... I think that was McAllister getting involved in the first incident. Swipes the bow of Newton. Let's take one more look at that. Watch the bright yellow. Yes, that's going to be McAllister. Edges into Marshall Newton. And the field comes stacking in right behind him. Brian Ziegler wisely pulls over to avoid the incident he sees unfolding in front of him. And already sacrificing some drivers to the iRacing gods. And again, that's going to be Newton, McAllister, Penn, and Ziegler tied up in that one. Trying to see the damage that may be on the front of Marshall Newton. Gareth McAllister missing a wing in the front left, holding on for dear life. Look how towed out that back left is as well. McAllister cutting a little bit of grass here at Indy. He's trying to limp it around. These drivers do have one fast repair. McAllister is going to do everything he can to limp it back to pit road. As some of the drivers on Twitch saying, hey, if I was betting on the pace car, did McAllister miss pit entry? Oh no, McAllister's going to have to go all the way around. Not sure what the decision there is. Possibly wanting to avoid coming to a closed pit road, but when your car's that heavily damaged, what other option do you have? Robert Hill Jr. over on YouTube, he's cheering on Fitzsimmons, Carrington, and McAllister, and of course, Alex Penn. Now the number 25 machine of McAllister will receive the EOL for causing the lap 1 full course yellow. At the bottom of your screen throughout tonight's broadcast, you'll see different messages pop up from race control being served by Joseph Penn. Uh-oh. McAllister's in trouble here. So throughout the night, if we do have an incident that race control has to officiate, you'll get those tidbits as well as fun facts if race control's feeling up to it throughout the broadcast. And the poor Aussie's going to try his best to limp it around here as the rest of the field gets stacked up behind our iRacing safety car, John Kasai. Norman King, Marshall Newton also coming down pit road. Now, I think Brian Ziegler in the number 5 machine did avoid any damage, but trying to wait for McAllister to avoid getting a passing under yellow. Now, the good news is for Ziegler, I'm fairly confident that race control will clear any black flags he may have, as McAllister was struggling fiercely to get around the track onto pit road for a little bit of repairs. As the pace car and Paul Gibson will get credit for the lap led. As everybody not involved in incident opts to stay out here. As everybody starts to check up. Possibly waiting for the rest of the field to join back up. McAllister's hauling back towards the front. And it looks like we're going to go another lap here under caution and allow the field to get rejoined single file. And here we go, and already they're going to wad it up. This is going to be a long night. Andrew Neri involved in that one. Immediately another caution, as we have not done a lap under green flag conditions so far tonight. They're dropping like flies. Poor Paul Gibson can't catch a break. Let's see what happened to Andrew Neri in the 65 machine. I wonder if somebody missed his shift here. Let's watch once in full speed. Neri checked up ever so slightly to avoid the problem in front of him. And just gets cleaned out. The field nowhere to go. Let's go on board with Andrew Neri for this restart. Oh my goodness, we are in for a long night, ladies and gentlemen. One more time for the fans at home. Let's try and see what that was in front of them. Extremely tough to see any of the numbers here. I believe we'll know soon enough as everybody starts to come down pit road, because the bright blue car missing the rear wing. I think that yellow in the front right. Not sure if that was Alex Pinn, perhaps. Trying to assess the damage. Pin looks relatively clear and good. Somebody's still limping around without a front left, it looked like. Oh, that's Casey Carrington. Look at the front left. Heavy damage on Carrington's 03 machine. Grubby Scrub cheering on Gareth McAllister on the Twitch side of the broadcast. So Carrington comes down pit road. Mary somehow able to stay out here. Oh, listen to this. Matt Brewer's number 2 machine screaming for help. Sounds like an RC plane trying to take off as Brewer limps it around. As Brewer pulls out of the way, he's going to go a lap down here. I think he might be driving on one wheel. Look at the back right, not able to put down any power as it kind of pogo sticks along. Casey Carrington also coming down pit road, I would assume using his first and only fast repair. And that time by under pacing. I think Gibson still has the fastest lap. Very briefly, live timing said that was the fastest lap, but I think that was before he got caught up here. This is a good night for me not to be race control. As Joseph Penn having quite the busy evening early on. 2 cautions. I'm fairly confident we have not had a lap complete under green flag conditions so far. Ryan Ziegler, Matt Brewer, Andrew Neri, all in and out of pit road for lap 6 pit stop. The top 3 drivers, Gibson, Fitzsimmons, Cop Car, still on the red, the alternate tire, the soft rubber. David Shutt has moved up to 4th. He's on primaries, the hard black tires. And may have made a good call here if he's not thinking we're going to go green for very long, but surely this will get sorted out here shortly and we'll actually get some racing going on. Let's try this again behind our iRacing safety car. We're going to go one more lap under caution. Looks like everybody's still out on track, though. Matt Brewer's going to be a lap down after trying to limp it around to get to pit road. And let's try it again. Can we get a lap under green as already the field shuffling around? Your top 2 drivers, Gibson and Fitzsimmons, using the push to pass. to try and make some early spots, but things get a little bit crowded into turn 1 as the field tries to shuffle in. Looks like that's going to be Colin Weatherholt. Jared Ziegler still side by side. Weatherholt comes out on top. He is our points leader in the number 12 machine, as it looks like David Shutt has a little bit of connection issues in the number 24. Hopefully he gets that corrected, but we've got a battle for the lead going on. Fitzsimmons and Gibson putting down the push to pass option very early on. Fitzsimmons takes over the race lead, the number 6, just ahead of Paul Gibson's 31. Cop Car still sits in a podium spot, 3rd. Now your top 2 drivers, a bit of a breakaway, but Cop Car has company with the likes of David Shutt's 24. Right behind them, we've also got Weatherholt and Ziegler, 2 very fast drivers as well. As it looks like, well, who was that? That was Colin Weatherholt. Trying to make a move on David Shutt's 24 machine. We're going to expect a big lunge up the inside line into 1. Gareth McAllister has come down pit road once again. Weatherholt now up to the 4th place spot. He's a half second back from Cop Car. As your top 4 drivers all still on the soft compound. As up front, Fitzsimmons has pulled a 1-second gap over Gibson. Gibson, though, got to be careful. He's always extremely consistent over the long run each and every week, especially when we've seen that 31 really shine on the road courses this season. And that is what a 1 1/4 second gap looks like for Finley Fitzsimmons, your race leader. If we go further back in the field, we still have great racing going on. As Norman King and Alex Penn linked up nose to tail. Looks like Penn's going to take a lunge to the inside in 1. Ooh, a bit of a lockup. King wisely went wide there. Penn tries the outside line, catches a little bit of grass, holds on to it. As King has a bit of problems, able to hold on to it. It's going to give Andrew Neri the 12th place spot. Matt Brewer's number 2 machine trying to get some laps back. He's 1 lap down and now battling out with Alex Penn. Absolutely on fire. Now Brewer qualified in the 5th place spot, so we know he has good pace, but after that early incident and a long wait around Indy to get back up towards the front, it's going to be an uphill battle for certain. Here comes Marshall News, the number 76 machine, sitting 15th. He's tucked in behind Norman King, sitting 14th. Another good battle out on track. Alex Penn, Andrew Neri. Neri locks up the brakes while battling for 11th. Another case of 2 very talented drivers that have raced each other a bunch, be it with or against each other in endurance racing or other forms of sprint racing. These 2 are very, very fast, very, very consistent. But now Alex Penn has built up a half-second gap over Neri, who's going to put his head down and try and make something happen. Just ahead of those 2, Chris Shieldsmith getting pressure from John Kasai's number 3 machine. This is going to be the battle for 8. Both drivers on the soft compound rubber underneath them. As Kasai trying to close the gap to Shieldsmith. He's also going to keep his eyes in the rear as here comes Peter Render, the Austrian's 44 machine. Finally clicking off some green flag laps now that we've got the field just a little bit stretched out. Still great battles all across the circuit. As Kasai doing everything he can to try and catch Shieldsmith. Neither driver has used one of the 10 push-to passes available to him here this evening. As Fitzsimmons still sits proudly out front, 1.3 seconds up over Paul Gibson's 31 machine. Oh, but as I say that, Gibson had some sort of problem. Cop car takes the pass. Moving up into second, let's take a quick look to see how that pass unfolded. We just caught it on live timing. Oh, Gibson just pushes wide off track. A very rare mistake out of him. And that's going to give Cop Car the second place spot. Here comes Colin Weatherholt still blasting through the field. He's still down one spot from where he started in third, but moving back up, trying to make something happen, putting the pressure on Paul Gibson. Gibson doing a bit of damage control here. As everybody knows, Weatherholt has the target on his back, but he is just 1 point of Paul Gibson. Garrett Ziegler currently third in points, and look at that, there goes Weatherholt shooting up the inside line, taking over the final podium spot. Weatherholt has 5 starts and 2 wins. He is tied with Gibson for the most winningest driver so far this season. Finley Fitzsimmons also has a win to his name. So Fitzsimmons wants to maximize his points this evening, picking up his second win. It'll be a 3-way tie for wins if Fitzsimmons can somehow pull it off. And we've got more problems as it shows Carrington having a moment off track in the 03 machine. Let's take a quick look, see what happened. No. Going back in the infield, Carrington just pushes wide, locks it up, goes off track, keeps the car nice and shiny though. So still in it. Gibson still lagging behind by about a half second from Weatherholt. Will these two drivers maybe try and work together and not battle too much, because Cop Car sitting in second is still extending his gap. He's about 1.7 seconds up over Weatherholt. And Fitzsimmons has pulled a 3-second margin over the rest of the field here. Now Fitzsimmons has been a little bit more eager to use the push-to passes early on, where historically, drivers such as Weatherholt and Gibson kind of wait till the tail end of the race with about 10 laps left to go, but even those drivers have hit the magic button a couple times here. Further back, Marshall Newton and Norman King are about to have a battle for 13th, two longtime friends. As they get ready to come up on Chris Shieldsmith, you see a bunch of smoke. Shieldsmith able to rejoin. Don Kasai also off track with problems, as well as Peter Renger. This is very quickly becoming a battle of attrition as Shieldsmith locks up the brakes. There goes Norman King. Marshall Newton looking for a way around. Andrew Neri takes over a spot from Peter Redger after his off-track excursion. Look at this. We're about to have a 5-car battle for 11th. It's Redger, King, Shieldsmith, Newton, Carrington. About to throw it in deep into turn 1. Ooh, looks like King picking up a spot. He's up 8 positions so far, climbing into 11th. Redger now has company from Shieldsmith, Newton, Carrington right behind him. And there's Casey Carrington sitting in 15th. He's had a few off-track excursions tonight as we go on board with the bright yellow 03 machine. A great view of the battle ahead. And this is a 5-car battle for 11th as it stands. And every driver in this pack on the red compounds, the softs. Carrington's still about a half second back from Newton. Andrew Neri currently at the front of this mini freight train. As it looks like Carrington's going to take a peek to the inside line of Newton going into 1. Meanwhile, that's happening. No, excuse me, that was King and Redger going at it. Redger takes over the 11th place spot. Andrew Neri sitting in 10th. He's still about 5.5 seconds ahead of this battle. And King not giving it up to the Austrian just yet, trying to make that number 28 machine slide through a gap that may not exist yet. King takes over back from the 11th place spot. Shieldsmith and Carrington only in the fray here. Now while this is happening, Andrew Neri's checking out in 10th place. He's already gained about another second on this battle. As we got somebody off track, that was Marshall Newton taking the scenic route through the grass here at Indy. Redger and King still throwing shots as Redger's off track. That's going to allow King, Shieldsmith, and Carrington by. And now Marshall Newton's going to try and pick up a spot from Redger. Redger looks like he's going to drop from 11th to 15th here. And a little bit further ahead, Paul Gibson has taken over a podium spot once more from Colin Weatherholt. Still about 2 seconds back from Cop Car. And, the pilot of the number 4 machine sitting second. We've got great racing all across the track here. And it also looks like David Shutt trying to put some pressure on Weatherholt's number 12 machine. Shutt on the harder compound, the black tires. He may just be getting up to temp and optimal racing conditions for those tires, while your top 4 may be falling off the pace ever so slightly with the tire wear. It's interesting to see how this one breaks down as far as strategy goes. Weatherholt holding on to that 4th place spot. Chris Shieldsmith having a lock up and an off track, triggering the crash report, but no major incident to speak of. But I'm interested to see, are we going to see David Shutt's bright purple number 24 machine make something happen here against Weatherholt? Weatherholt, who's had a couple of micro lockups, may have overheated those tires early on. As these guys trying to make something happen, Shutt looking for any opportunity that he can find, but Weatherholt keeping the door closed here. This has allowed Paul Gibson in third to break away almost 2 seconds ahead of Weatherholt. Uh-oh, David Shutt with a big connection issue. Right as he gets onto the back of Weatherholt. Weatherholt skipping around the back end. That may be the gap that Shutt's looking for. He briefly takes over the 4th place spot, diving back into the infield. A bit of a block there on Weatherholt. And Weatherholt will have to drop back to 5th. Tucking in behind the number 24 machine. Marshall Newton's going to be one of the first drivers down pit road for a green flag stop. We've got problems, though, for Paul Gibson. A huge mistake has allowed Shutt and Weatherholt to catch right back up. Shutt finally finding himself in a battle for podium contention. Gibson mashes the push-to-pass, trying to build up a little bit more speed to keep the number 24 machine at bay a little while longer. As Marshall Newton returns to the surface, he immediately goes off track. Matthew Gosh also with an off-track excursion. Oh, a big off-track. Gibson holding on to that 3rd place spot. David Shutt looking for a way through. Jared Ziegler coming down pit road for a green flag stop. Carrington and King having their own battle for the 11th place position right behind them. Field Smith and Renger, who have had their fair share of off-track excursions, soon about to have a battle for 13. Again, great racing all across the circuit this evening, where we've seen a lot of single-car incidents kind of decide where things are going to go here. Carrington looking for a way through Norman King's 28. King still up 8 spots from where he started. Gary Ziegler must have some sort of problems. He's been in pit road for about 14 seconds. Just a regular stop, I suppose, taking 4 fresh tires underneath him. Getting right back out on track as quickly as he can. He'll be 14th on the circuit. Matthew Gosh in pit road. We still have every driver who started out on track making it happen. As we check in on race leader Finley Fitzsimmons, he's going to have lap traffic ahead of him. We have 16 drivers on the lead lap of the 19 who originally entered here today. Alex Penn down pit road. Looks like your top 6 drivers staying out as long as they possibly can. Your top 3 still having the reds underneath them. Top car will be the first driver inside the top 3 to come down pit road for his first pit stop of the evening. How long is Fitzsimmons going to stretch it out here for that number 6 machine? He now has about an 8.5 second gap over Gibson, who's moved up in the podium standings on current pit strategy. And And Gibson knows David Shutt not that far behind. Oh, but Shutt's connection issues have definitely been troubling him here this evening. Cop car rolls back out on track. Looks like he's going to be about 8th in the standings as these pit cycles work themselves out. Fitzsimmons still holding into an 8-second advantage, climbing between an 8 to 8.5-second advantage over Gibson. Gibson's going to come down pit road, Shutt opts to stay out on the harder compound tires. Weatherholt will also come down pit road on the number 12 for their first green flag stops of the evening. It's going to be interesting to see what type of pace difference Shutt will hold here. Now, last time by, race leader Finley Fitzsimmons, a 1 minute 13.95. David Shutt on the hard compound tires ran about 0.3 faster. That is not going to be enough to close what is almost a 9-second deficit in the favor of Finley Fitzsimmons. Now here on the Indy Road Course, drivers hitting speeds. I think the highest trap speed I've seen so far is 197 miles an hour. And don't forget, this Saturday morning at 11 a.m. we will be having the Racings for Children IndyCar 500. The Indy 500, of course, presented by our good friends Nemesis Labs, one of the title sponsors of this season. Big shout out to those guys coming on board, supporting the league, supporting the broadcast, as well as the martial arts doing all the graphical work this season. David Shutt taking over the race lead there in the middle of the sponsorship as Fitzsimmons comes down pit road. Also, big shout out to John Kasai with Propane Depot. Without these sponsors making the league happen, allowing these drivers to race for charity, as well as all the fans that have chipped in for the Racings for Children IndyCar series, it would definitely not be possible. Shutt comes down pit road for his first stop of the night. Nick Terrell in second has yet to come down. Now that's going to put John Kasai up into third. He opted to come down on lap 2. Still on the red compound tires. Now very interesting to see how the pit strat is going to shake things out here. We've got a little bit shy of 40 laps left to go. Let's make it 36 laps left to go. Here's John Kasai down pit road, and Nick Terrell will get credit for a lap led here at Indy. Now I need to look. I believe this will be Terrell's first lap led of the season. Yes, that is correct. Nick Terrell, the 81, who's up 11 positions on pit strategy, leading a lap for the first time here. Now, how long will Terrell stretch this out? He is one of the few drivers who has not been down pit road at all this evening. As I say it, it is well to fruition. Nick Terrell down pit road. I believe that's going to put Andrew Neri as your race leader in the 65 machine. as Neri comes down pit road. So that's going to put Fitzsimmons back as your race leader, the number 6. He's about 6 seconds, I believe, ahead of Cop Car. Well, we've got problems elsewhere out on track. Carrington with an off-track excursion. Able to get back out on track, so the car's still looking clean here as Terrell and Neri down pit road together. Fitzsimmons, once again, your race leader in the 6. He is 5.7 seconds ahead of Cop Car. Cop Car only 1 second ahead of Paul Gibson. And now your top 3 drivers all in the primary compound together here. The harder, stiffer, less grippy compound. And so far, Fitzsimmons rocking and rolling as we pan back to Paul Gibson. Trying as much as he can to close the gap to Cop Car. Wanting to maximize points here. Colin Weatherholt must have had a pit road penalty as he is now down in 12th place. He's lost 9 positions from where he started. Matthew Gosh has taken a tow to pit road in 21. He's most likely done and out of nowhere. Carrington McAllister down pit road. Let's go back to John Kasai, who has Alex Penn, the number 30 machine, breathing down his neck here. But we've got to go back up front. Cop Car in second. He's got Paul Gibson 6/10 behind him, and there's David Shutt as well. It's going to be a 3-car pack. But only 2 of these drivers can make it on the podium as Finley Fitzsimmons has checked out 6.9 seconds ahead of Cop Car. Gibson, Shutt running 2nd, 3rd, 4th. And man, Shutt right off the rear wing of Gibson. It's wing to gearbox. Shutt looking for an opening. Throws it in extremely deep against Paul Gibson's 31 machine. And Shutt keep that momentum, try to close the gap because Cop Car quickly pulls a 2nd advantage. Not having to worry too much about what's going on behind them. As Gibson starting to fall back slightly. Now Shutt is on an alternative tire compound and strategy. He's back out on track for the first time with the reds underneath him. As a big bobble from Cop Car, here comes David Shutt in the 24. Looking to work his way a little bit higher up in the standings. Shutt 13th in points. He had 1 podium, bringing home a 3rd at Barber. At Belle Isle, finished 11th at Long Beach. His first race here, he scored 12th. He was not at the season opener at Texas. We've got the excellent Laura Kasai join us on the YouTube side of the broadcast, cheering on John Kasai, the propane man. He sits in 7th, up 8 positions gained in that number 3. As David Shutt absolutely blistering fast here after making that move on Cop Car. Now he's still 7.4 seconds back from Fitzsimmons, your race leader. And we are officially at the halfway mark tonight. Fitzsimmons in first, Shutt in second, ran almost identical lap times that last time by, starting their 31st lap of the evening. As we watch Cop Car, ooh, heavy on the brakes right behind Shutt. Right ahead of them, I think that was Gareth McAllister. Oh my goodness, that was Gareth McAllister and Norman King right off track in the 3-car battle for second. What happened to those two? Oh, King wipes the bow of McAllister, it looks like. Both drivers decide to wisely wait for that massive pack, that very fast pack to come by. As right as we do that, Judd with another micro lockup ahead of Cop Car. Gibson still in tow, sitting 4th. Ryan Ziegler down pit road, the number 5 machine. Be his 4th stop of the evening. Looks like it's going to be about 38 minutes left to go in this main event, barring any more full course cautions. I think we are less likely to see the safety car come out at this point. Let's see, Gibson still putting the pressure on Cop Car, about 4/10 separating the two. This will be the battle for the final podium spot as this run progresses, and definitely the two closest drivers out on track as it stands. Now David Shutt in second has pulled a 1-second advantage over Cop Car and has closed the gap down to Fitzsimmons now to about 5.6 seconds. That last time by, David Shutt was about 0.6 faster, almost 0.7 faster than Fitzsimmons, your race leader. But I think Fitzsimmons is going to have a little bit more traffic to contend with. And as we say that, there's Fitzsimmons, the number 6 machine, the young English driver, slicing and dicing here at Indy. About to come up on traffic, that's going to be Casey Carrington. And we did get a note from race control. The incident between the 28 of Norman King and the 25 of Gareth McAllister. Noted, but no action required from race control. As that was the two drivers we saw after a little bit of bumping and grinding, pulled over in the grass, waiting to rejoin for those top 4 drivers to make their way through here. A very wise call. Fitzsimmons, despite having to face a little bit of traffic, not losing much time to David Shutt in second. He's still about 6.2 seconds ahead of the pilot at the number 24. Shutt about a second ahead of Cop Car, holding on to third, but I don't think Paul Gibson's going to make it easy for him. Carrington hops out of the way, allowing Fitzsimmons by. Respecting the blue flag. As we check back in on Gibson, still lagging behind, about a half second behind Cop Car. Both drivers on the hard compound rubber as Shutt starting to peel away in second. And here we go. Gibson's going to take a peek to the inside line and won a big lunge against Cop Car. Cop Car still fighting tooth and nail for that final podium spot. And Gibson's going to keep him honest here as Gibson uses the push to pass once more. Ooh, nowhere to go as Cop Car closes the door. Gibson using every button push he can. Now Gibson still, while not having the night he's looking for, still in a good spot. Colin Weatherholt, your series points leader, is way back in 10th after what we can assume is a pit road violation that kind of threw the race out the window for him. I don't think Fitzsimmons, if he can win here today, will take over the points lead from Gibson. So now it's all about maximizing points for the driver of that 31. As further back, Matt Brewer and I believe Brian Ziegler both involved in incidents. Ryan's going to limp along there in the number 5. Let's see what happened to him. Not seeing an actual proper crash. It was like off track, and now it's trying to limp it home. Another 3-car battle forming up. Alex Penn, Andrew Neri, Colin Weatherholt running 8th, 9th, and 10th. Weatherholt driving like a man possessed here, the number 12. Having quite a roller coaster of an evening. And Weatherholt, your current points leader in that number 12 machine, knows he has to get things going. He does not want Gibson to get a big lead on him in the points here. As coming to tonight, they were only separated by a singular point. A little bit further ahead, Paul Gibson's taken over the 3rd place spot from Cop Car, using just about every last push-to-pass option he has. And he will do so with another big lunge to the inside line, able to facilitate that pass nice and clean this time. Remember the lap prior, he kind of had the door shut off there. Neri holding on to the 9th place spot, 65 down 2 spots. His eyes set forward on Alex Penn, knowing Weatherholt looking for any opening he can find here. We're 25 laps left to go at the Indy Road Course. As here we go, Weatherholt making the move on Neri, taking over the 9th place spot. Neri down 3 spots from where he started. He still has 10 push-to-pass buttons available for him, but maybe saving him for the end here. Colin Weatherholt has used half of his so far. Now, Alex Penn, Colin Weatherholt running 8th and 9th are on the hard compound. Andrew Neri in 10th, he's on softs. As Weatherholt holds down the button, there's a little bit of draft games going on here. Alex Penn knows he's about to have company into turn 1. Here comes Weatherholt trying to make it 2 passes in 1 lap. Oh, it looks like Neri locks up slightly to avoid getting to the back of Alex Penn. Penn locks up, and Neri takes over 9th once more. Penn now only up 7 spots from where he started. Chris Shieldsmith also having an incident. Peter Renger takes over the 12th place position. Let's see what happened to Shieldsmith. Is it another single car incident that's been plaguing drivers this evening? Yes, it is. Locking up the front right. Well, almost spinning into Renger. As Fitzsimmons, still your race leader, has built up a 7.8 second advantage over David Shutt. Shutt 1.5 up over Gibson. As we have whittled it down to 10 drivers on the lead lap, 24 laps left to go. Now don't count Cop Car out of it yet. Still holding on to about 0.6 of a second behind Gibson. Gibson only has 1 push to pass left in his arsenal. Cop Car still has 5 to his name. Now very interesting, David Shutt in second has yet to hit the magic button here at Indy Road. That number 24 machine may be waiting till the final 10 laps when he's on the hard compound. Trying to make something happen. Gonna be interesting to see what the strategy pans out, because Fitzsimmons on first, he's on hard, as well as Gibson and Cop Car running 3rd and 4th. But 2nd and 5th place drivers, David Shutt and Jared Ziegler, currently on the reds. Now we're fairly confident if drivers decide to box in the coming next couple of laps, they should be good to go until the end on fuel. As we see another lockup, I think that's Carrington getting overtaken by Gibson and Cop Car. Oh, and that could be the break that Cop Car was looking for. Trying to tuck in right behind Gibson on the start-finish line straight. Gibson uses his last push to pass. Gibson gambling with the magic button, able to defend Cop Car for a little while longer. The Cop Car almost made that pass for that final podium spot. All the while, Fitzsimmons checking out in front has built up a 9-second advantage over Shutt. And let's see, will Cop Car be able to fire back? Brian Ziegler has problems. Oh, can he get that machine fired up? He can as he waits for a bit of clean track to get going in the right direction. How did he end up there? Well, off the racing surface at least. Ah, there he is. Diving back to the infield. Ryan Ziegler, the first time we've seen him out on track for the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. A fantastic oval racer I've had the pleasure of calling in the past. And very wise, knowing not when to risk too much, not wanting to pull out in front of traffic, knowing he was in a relatively safe spot. But the problem with every crash and slide you can find yourself involved in, if your car is parked there, that means anybody else who has an incident could also slide into the same position. John Kasai down pit road, but Alex Penn also has problems backing out of the way. What happened to Baby Penn in the number 30 machine? Looks like it's going to be a solo car incident. Locks up the brakes, pushes off track, and these Indy cars, not a lot of traction in the grass. Where's he going? An interesting way. Ooh, Penn almost throws it away there. And Casey Carrington will take over the 9th place spot. I thought for certain Penn was going to tag that wall with the dirty tires underneath them. Drivers really struggling with car control this evening. Not sure if the tires are rapidly falling off or maybe something to do with the setups. Don Kasai leaves pit road as Brian Ziegler heads on down what should be his final stop of the evening. Things are tightening up inside the top 4. Fitzsimmons almost has a 10-second breakaway. But Shutt, Gibson, and Kopkar, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, separated by about a second and a half here. Jared Ziegler and Andrew Neri comes down pit road for their final stops of the evening. Gibson, Kopkar down pit road, their final stops. Fitzsimmons and Shutt opt to stay out. This will now give Fitzsimmons a 10.2 second advantage before his final stop of the evening. Fitzsimmons last time in was on lap 24. David Shutt, the last time he boxed was on lap 26. Let's see how this is going to shake out the final pit stops of the evening. Now, interesting, the broadcast software shows Fitzsimmons on the hard compound, but that's definitely red rubber underneath him. If we can update that, but I'm not quite sure why we have that graphical error on my broadcast side. Oh, I just heard problems ahead of Fitzsimmons. That was going to be Alex Penn, I think, having a moment in the final corner. So Fitzsimmons is going to come up on lap traffic extremely quickly here. Fitzsimmons clicking off laps, extending his final run as long as he possibly can. What's the strategy going to be? Now, he has built up a 12-second gap now over David Shutt. Judd and Terrell running 2nd and 3rd. They came in lap 26 for their last stop of the evening. Gibson and Kopkar will be 4th and 5th. Way back. It shows Gibson on reds, Kopkar on the black compound. But how will this final pit stop shake out as Fitzsimmons comes down pit road? What should be the final time? Will Shutt follow suit or stay out a little while longer? Fitzsimmons getting slowed way down. Shutt is going to follow he's going to follow Fitzsimmons down pit road. Final stop of the night. That's going to put Nick Terrell possibly as your race leader, but Terrell also hasn't come down pit road since lap 26. Casey Carrington, the 03, joining the pit party here at Indy. Let's see, does Terrell stay out, or is he going to join Fitzsimmons and Shutt on pit road? He will stay out. Fitzsimmons rolls back out on track, but how far ahead will Fitzsimmons be of Paul Gibson, the 31 machine, who we know is good to go till the end here? Fitzsimmons back out on track. And it looks to be about 9 seconds is the answer. The advantage that Finley Fitzsimmons will have over Paul Gibson, who we know can make it out till the end. Nick Terrell showing in second. He still has the box one final time. I don't think there's any possible way he's been fuel saving just that much. Alex Penn has more incidents. That's going to give the 12th place spot to Gareth McAllister, but back up front, the battle for second. Paul Gibson has caught up to Nick Terrell. Gibson 1.3 seconds ahead of Kopcar, wants to get things going rather quickly. Gibson's showing on the red tires, Kopcar on the hard compound. There goes Terrell down pit road. Gibson will take over the second place spot. Kopcar will be about 1.3 seconds back from Gibson. And don't forget about David Shutt's number 24 machine. He's a second back from Kopcar, and he desperately wants a podium finish here. Fitzsimmons starting to use the push to pass up front. He's got 5 magic button presses left to his name. As we wait to see, will Shutt be able to close the gap? The 3/4 of a second advantage that Kopcar has in third. Shutt's highest finish so far this season was a third just a couple of short rounds ago. Wants to either match or beat that race result. And David Shutt still has 10 button presses left here. Well, almost like a little bit of contact there. It looked like Kopcar had a bit of a lockup. Kopcar hits the push to pass. David Shutt hits his for the first time of the evening. Is that a wing on the start-finish line straight? Andrew Neri is taking a tow back to pit road. Take a look at that in just a second as Shutt throws it in deep, take over the third place spot from Kopcar. Let's see why that happened. What happened to Andrew Neri? I swore I saw bits of bodywork on the start-finish line straight. That was correct. Neri throwing parts all over the track here. As the field avoids the carnage, and Neri will unfortunately pull over and call it quits. Up front, Fitzsimmons has just clicked off the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 11.62. Almost 4 tenths faster than Kopcar was able to do early on in the race. So Fitzsimmons has clean track, a lot of presses left, and absolutely ripping here. Let's see what he puts by this time by. Does he improve on his hot lap? He does not, a 112.31. We're down to 9 drivers on the lead lap. Fitzsimmons has the softs underneath him here. as Fitzsimmons has stretched the gap now to 12 seconds over Gibson. Fitzsimmons finally looking for a little bit of luck to go his way as we're 13 laps left to go. Matt Brewer, the number 2 machine, sitting in 9th. He's down 4 spots. He's in pit road for the final time. And unfortunately, Andrew Neri joined us in the spectator area. Very displeased with how the grass has ruined his race here tonight. And look at this, the battle for second. Here comes David Shutt putting the pressure on Paul Gibson. Shutt starting to use some of those push-to-passes. Gibson's completely out. Now again, Shutt's highest finish was 3rd earlier this year. He would be ecstatic for a 2nd. Now I think a 1st would be a bit of a far ask for number 24 as he's about 13 seconds back from Fitzsimmons. Judd has built up a 9/10 of an advantage over Gibson. Will Gibson be able to make something happen? The top 3 drivers are on the hard compound. Gibson fighting tooth and nail to close the gap to Shutt, but Shutt with those extra push to pass available, I think that's going to be an uphill battle at this point as the field fairly stretched out here. Shutt in 2nd, Gibson in 3rd, arguably the 2 closest drivers out on track, separated by right at a 2nd. Peter Renger down pit road on lap 49. As the hits just keep coming, checking back in with Fitzsimmons confirms 8 drivers on the lead lap. Fitzsimmons even more traffic to cut through. I think that may be Jared Ziegler right ahead in the 57. I'm not entirely sure. As Fitzsimmons making it look easy, a 1:13.09 his last time by. I can't tell if the tire wear is becoming a factor for Fitzsimmons or maybe taking it a little bit easy as we're 10 laps left to go. The last thing the young British driver wants to do is throw away a massive lead. Fitzsimmons, if he can pull this off, will be the most winningest driver. No, excuse me. Will be tied for the most amount of wins this season, joining the ranks of Colin Weatherholt and Paul Gibson, who both have 2 wins thus far. Now Gibson was looking to try and make it 3 in a row here tonight. He won at Detroit. He won at Montreal. But right now he may just be happy with a 3rd place and gaining some points on Colin Weatherholt, who still sits back in 6th in that number 12 machine. Fitzsimmons going to be very careful here with traffic ahead, not wanting to push too hard and put that number 6 in any sort of danger. Drivers ahead of him will see the blue flag, hop out of the way, I think. And that's going to be Jared Ziegler just ahead of your race leader. He has a bit of a micro lockup. I'm expecting not the quickest time out of Fitzsimmons this next time by. As Fitzsimmons lashes out onto the push to pass. Did he time it too late as Ziegler may hop out of the way in one, or Fitzsimmons is going to force the issue? Here comes Fitzsimmons up the inside line into one. Ziegler not making it easy for the race leader. I need to pull up the rules here to see if there's a blue flag in effect. As Fitzsimmons looks like he's going to get by Ziegler. No, Ziegler's racing the race leader here. Oh, Fitzsimmons has to be careful. Fitzsimmons cuts through nice and easy there. A little bit of help from Ziegler. Seven laps left to go. Gareth McAllister. Oh no, the Australian might have found himself acquainted with a wall here. He was sitting 13th up one spot. Let's see what happened. It's going to be diving back to the infield. Grabs the grass. Tries to get it turned around. So thankfully, McAllister keeps it off the wall. That first camera angle looked like he was much further off track than he was. And doing a little bit of perusing the rule book, not seeing any rules about a blue flag. So it looks like it's every man for himself here. Now, most of these drivers race against each other several times throughout the week, all on events broadcasted by Team Goon Squad. But everybody very respectful and very familiar with how their opponents drive. As Fitzsimmons, despite having to slow down a little bit those last couple of laps, still maintains a 10.5 second lead over David Shutt. We've got Antonio Bianchi join us on the YouTube side of tonight's broadcast. Always good to see the Open Wheel Pro. Unfortunately, Bianchi not joining us out on track this evening. And let's see, Fitzsimmons has two push-to passes available. I think he's going to try and set some fast laps here as fast as he can with the tire that the tires will allow him. John Kasai back in 7th. He's the last driver on the lead lap. He's got one push-to-pass remaining. Fitzsimmons last time by at 1:13.35, identical lap times with David Shutt, who sits in 2nd. Shutt still 1.5 seconds ahead of Paul Gibson. Very interesting. If we finish exactly as we do, I'm very curious to see how the points are going to shape up after this one. Fitzsimmons will have a little bit more traffic ahead of him. I think that's going to be John Kasai's number 3 machine. Yes, it is. Number 3 of Kasai, he's sitting 7th, up 8 spots from where he qualified. And he's going to fight tooth and nail to stay on the lead lap. Kasai 3.5 seconds up over Jared Ziegler in 8th. And here we go. Fitzsimmons going to have even more traffic to cut through now. As Kasai has a bit of a bobble, Fitzsimmons not slowing down here. Working the outside line against Kasai. Kasai backs out slightly to allow that to happen. And man, drivers having a rough go coming to the infield. Looks like it's going to be Carrington, I think Marshall Newton. Having to take one of the unused parts of the circuit. And that sharp right-hander cutting back in the infield has caused a lot of issues for a lot of drivers. Everybody trying to trail break in there as deep as they can, but off track goes Carrington. And there goes Marshall Newton following suit. It's 4 to go here at the Martial Arts Grand Prix of Indianapolis. It's Fitzsimmons, Shutt, Gibson, Cop Car, and Terrell, your current top 5. And trying to see, it looks like relatively clean track for Fitzsimmons. As that was John Kasai right behind him, threw it in a little bit too deep there. A big lockup out of that number 3 machine riding around in 7th. And Kasai may have a little bit of company here. Here comes Jared Ziegler's 57 machine. Has made the gap about 9/10 between himself and the Texas native John Kasai. We may still have a battle for 7th here by the time it's all said and done. Ziegler's closed the gap to about 6/10 behind Kasai. Here goes the battle. It's about to be 2 laps left to go as Fitzsimmons makes his way out of the start-finish line straight at Indy. 2 laps left to go, and we continue watching the battle for 7th. Ziegler has 2 push-to-passes available. Trying to close that gap to Kasai, but a big lockup into 1. Drivers really fighting the brakes here. Kasai uses, no, excuse me, that was Weatherholt using his last push to pass. Oh, Finley Fitzsimmons has gone off track. The race leader has issues. Here comes David Shutt closing the gap to 3 seconds. Let's see what happened to Fitzsimmons here. Grabs too much grass, around he goes. Fitzsimmons doing his best to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Hopefully didn't overheat the tires because David Shutt is not letting off. 2.8 seconds back from your race leader. That was almost a full 10 seconds Fitzsimmons threw away there. White flag will be out this time by. And what I thought was sure to be an easy win for Fitzsimmons, almost completely out the window. White flag is out here at Indy. The Martial Arts Grand Prix of Indy, gonna be exciting all the way to the end. Fitzsimmons uses the push to pass down the start-finish line straight. David Shutt also uses his final button push. Fitzsimmons, if he can just focus on hitting his marks, should have plenty of time. But he lost over 8 seconds on that last lap, clicking off a 1 minute 21 second lap time. That's 10 seconds off Fitzsimmons' fastest lap of the race. The young British driver just needs to stay cool, calm, and collected here, as he's got less than a half lap left to go to tie for the most amount of wins here at the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. It's going to be a 3-car tie. If Fitzsimmons able to lock it up, a quarter of the track left to go. Fitzsimmons going to make his way on the start-finish line for the final time. One push to pass left in reserve. And Fitzsimmons is going to make it happen, picking up his second win of the season. David Shutt will finish second, and Paul Gibson will round out the top three as Fitzsimmons joins the likes of Weatherholt and Paul Gibson for the most amount of wins so far this year. We're going to try and get these top three drivers up into victory lane for their podium speeches, but man, what an exciting few laps. And Finley Fitzsimmons going to burn it down here at Indy, a well-deserved victory. Smoke 'em if you got 'em, says Finley Fitzsimmons. And the driver, that number 6 machine, absolutely ecstatic here. And a very well done burnout, may I add. We've got Gibson, we've got Fitzsimmons, still waiting on David Shutt to make his way up here as he is sprinting to the broadcast booth. And I think Fitzsimmons may have smoked the old engine there. Fitzsimmons doesn't care. He said, if this car's still running. And there we go. The magic smoke let out of the number 6 machine. We're going to try and get these drivers up here into victory lane. And we're going to start things off with Paul Gibson, the number 31 machine. Paul, a good night all the way around. I know exactly it wasn't exactly what you're looking for, but still holding on to the points, and I believe should be leaving tonight at Indy with the points lead, so you can't be too terribly unhappy with a third place.
Yeah, I'll take it. I just didn't drive very well at first stint, and I screwed up a couple times the second stint too. So yeah, Finley just got out in front, and the rest of us were mixing it up behind him, and he got away. But I'll take third. I don't feel like I really drove a third place. Probably more like a fifth or a sixth, but yeah, I'll take it, and I think that's good for points.
Now,
so,
Paul, I was gonna say it. That seems almost backwards of what we've seen in the past, where you get that massive breakaway and then drivers behind you start battling. So, yeah, a little odd to see the shoe on the other foot here. But after the 2 early cautions, were you expecting this to be a very long night for you and the rest of the drivers?
well, I actually wasn't expecting any cautions at all. We had a pretty good fuel strategy figured out because we figured there weren't going to be any cautions, and then that got thrown out the window about 100 yards down the track. So, yeah, we had to like rethink fuel and tire strategy during the yellows. But yeah, it was a long night after that. This track has a lot of like long winding corners that especially in VR, you're really low, and those white lines are kind of disappeared behind the grass and some of the curbs a little bit. So you just kind of got to know where to put the car. And then, the opposite side of the track kind of shows up once you get through the middle of the corner. So, but yeah, this place wears you out. It's a long night.
Well, Paul, good to see the consistency paying off once more. Should be leaving tonight with the points lead. And great racing all the way around. Before I let you go, celebrate and go to bed at a reasonable time, who do you want to give a shout to that made it happen for you?
Yeah, just thanks to PG13 Racing, and we work really well together. And finished the show at David Shutt, was the top one in our group there. He drove a great race and came home with a second. So congrats to him.
Awesome, Paul. Always a pleasure talking to you, and we will hopefully see you doing well at the Indy 500 this weekend.
Yep, sounds good.
That was Paul Gibson bringing home the third place spot. Up next, David Shutt in the number 24 machine, fighting hard through the field, up 4 spots, and like a man possessed, David, bringing home your best finish so far this season.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of the best races that I've run. Just didn't really have any mistakes the whole race. I don't think I got any incident points. I started on the blacks, just wanted to do something different. I knew I was going to be the first car on the blacks, so I would hopefully just have room to follow the guys on the reds, and I maintained my pace really good there. So I think that's what did it for me, was my pace in the blacks.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Watching you blitz through the field, and it seemed like some of the guys on red started to fall off a little bit. Were you kind of expecting them to fall off or plateau on lap times as drastically as they did in that opening run?
Um, I'm not really sure. I was just surprised the lack of pace that they had on the reds. I thought they would pull away a lot more. Um, but some of them didn't. So I was just able to maintain pace and not lose a lot of ground to them.
And David, throughout the night, how did the car drive for you guys? Because we saw a lot of solo car incidents. Almost looked like they were plowing the front end, but that's just for me up here in the broadcast booth. But what did it feel like for you guys out on track late into those runs?
Yeah, car got kind of swirly. Just had to be patient. Car wanted to just rotate, but in my opinion, I thought it handled pretty good. It was pretty controllable. So yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Well, David, a great job for you and the team. I know all the guys on PG-13 absolutely pumped. A great race out of you and all the other hooligans. And before I let you go and celebrate your best finish so far this season, who do you want to give a shout out to that made it happen?
I just want to shout out all my PG-13 teammates, Paul and McKeel. That was a lot of fun racing them and be able to beat them straight up too.
Awesome. David, congratulations. Hope to see you do well at the Indy 500 and hope to have you back up here more often, my friend.
Thank you.
That was David Shutt bringing home a second. But up next, we've got the man, the myth, the British legend, Finley Fitzsimmons. Welcome back. What was going to be a dominant finish got a little bit down to the wire there for you in the number 6.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've ripped myself a new one because I coming into turn 4 took a tiny bit too much grass on the entry. I don't know why I did it, but at least I still got the win. But it was very close.
Yeah, it was a breathtaking moment for all parties involved. We thought you were in big, big trouble, but now tying for the most amount of wins so far this season. But late into the race, I mean, this is not the first time we've seen mistakes late in the race by any of the drivers. What kind of you think caused so much driver attrition at Indy compared to other road circuits we've ran in the past?
Sure, I guess it's a new track. Not a lot of people have raced here before. I raced it in official races at the beginning of the week, pretty much, or yeah, when it came out non-stop. So I already know the track pretty well, but for a lot of people, it's a lot of adjustments. Like especially Gareth as well. He jumped into this session thinking it would be the old layout, and it took him. Yeah, it's a lot different. The surface is a lot different how it treats the car, but also your tire management as well is a big thing. Near to the end of the stint, the tires, if you haven't saved them, can get very, very loose. I did a good job, I think, of keeping the tires in check because near to the end of the stint, I was extending those gaps quite a bit. But yeah, I think it just comes down to more. It's a new track, people don't know it as well, and maybe tire management not being 100%.
Now, Finn, I guess my final questions for you is we see you do a little bit different strategy with the push to pass button that we have from other drivers. Seems like you value the track position more so early on the run rather than waiting for the final 10 to 15 laps to mash the button consistently every lap. What's the thought process? What's the strategy there with when you use the magic button?
You wouldn't really use it in clean air unless you're trying to get fastest lap, really. I just used it to get past Paul at the start, pretty much because track position is really important, especially with the dirty air that comes off these cars. You can extend that gap really quickly, and once you're ahead early on in the stint, you sort of control the race, and you have sort of control over when you pit and the strategy. So being the car in front is really more important, unless you're really, really slow and use the push pass and just wasted them. But really, yeah, you only use them if you're going for a fastest lap or trying to get by somebody. And I just wanted to get by as quick as I could.
Excellent. Well said. It's been a pleasure having you back up here. It's going to be interesting to see how the points shape up. This could put you inside the top 3 for as far as points. Will we see the number 6 machine coming out to the Indy 500 this weekend?
It's going to be close. I might or might not because I have someone else going on that day. Hopefully I can because I know it's like God points. But we'll see what we can do. Hopefully I can.
Well, awesome, Finley. Congratulations. Your second win of the season. Climbing back up in the standings, a dominant fashion tonight. We'll ignore that one little incident and just pretend it was smooth sailing all the way around. But Finley, you got the privilege, the pleasure, my friend, the final send-offs of the night. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helped make it happen for you?
Same people as always. James, you in the booth. Team Goon Squad for putting on a brilliant broadcast as well. Mustard Seed Racing as well, because I race for them in the Race for Children's IndyCar series, especially the charity as well, Racing for Children. If you have any spare money or cash, drop them. Drop them anything you have spare, of course. Thanks for Jared and Norman as well for putting on a great race and a great season as always. And yeah, it's been much appreciated.
Awesome, Finley. Congratulations. Always a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we'll see you at the Indy 500, but if not, we'll have you in the very near future, my friend.
You too, James. See ya.
And now it's Finley Fitzsimmons bringing home the win at the Racing for Children's IndyCar Series. David Shutt, Paul Gibson will round out the podium. As always, thank you to our sponsors, NemesisLab.com, Propane Depot, Martial Arts, and all of the fans coming on board supporting a great cause, a great broadcast, as well as a fantastic charity. Check them out, MSRIndyCarSeries.net. On behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name has been James East. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'll see you Saturday morning for the Indy 500. Have a great night, everybody.